My name is Mike Austin, President and CEO of Quality DME. We're a 5-branch DME specializing in CPAP. We're based outside of DC and Northern Virginia. We serve Maryland, DC, and Virginia. But yeah, thanks for having me on here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right into this. So before switching to NikoHealth's outbound campaigns, what type of challenges were you facing with resupply in general?
Yeah, I mean, if we go way back, I mean, we, from the onset, it was that lived in that space of just how when a patient called, we process an order. And we, over the years have stepped into whatever the new technology is. And I remember at one point it was, the automated phone systems. We thought that was going to be it. We thought that was a solution, and it was compared to nothing. We migrated from there into an email outreach as our primary way of contacting patients. And again, that was great, taking the next step forward. But the reality became the bigger we got, manual calling, live touch points, it's just not possible to scale. So to the last poll's point, that automated outreach, having some sort of outreach for all of your patients that you can actually accomplish becomes really important, and especially getting responses. That's the whole point, is to get responses. So the challenge has been and always will be, how do we get as many patients to provide feedback saying, yes, I want these supplies, and being able to grow it and scale it. And that's where bringing this text messaging really was the next wave of technology and advancement into the system that we found to be successful at this given time.
Amazing. Yeah. So that kind of leads me to my second question, as far as, that's really great insight onto the background, where you're at now. And then I guess from your perspective, what were some immediate changes that you noticed when you switched over to our texting? And I guess, or what are some more interesting changes over time as you continue, you've scaled this to tens of thousands of patients at this time. So any color you can shed around kind of the initial change and I would say upgrade, and then kind of what you're experiencing now.
Yeah, I think with any change of operations, you always go in with some sort of guess. I'll call it a guess, because you don't really know what kind of results you're going to get, but you make some educated assumptions and say, okay, the new era, people are going to be more privy to texting. They're going to respond with an email. Most of us get so much spam email these days, we don't even bother looking at it. So we expected to have a little bit uptick in response rates. What we didn't expect is exactly what you shared earlier. We actually quadrupled our response rate from the get-go. We went from an average of about 5 to 6% response rate in our email campaigns to about a 20 to 22% response rate in the first few months. And we were like, wow, this is incredible. We were thrilled. We couldn't believe it. It was way better than we ever expected. We were thinking maybe 10 to 15%. We attributed a little bit of it to just new and fresh and just kind of a little bubble. But we've seen it really, I wouldn't even say normalize, but just continue to stay higher and higher and continue to surprise us. I think I shared at the top of the hour, last month we looked at the data and actually saw a 33% response rate for the month of April. And we're not talking, low numbers here to analyze. We're talking out of thousands and thousands of outreach. And I think we all can agree the reality of calling 5,000 to 7,000 people and saying, hey, do you want supplies? It's not possible in this day and age. It's really all about having the automation to do it for you, so you're not having to make those live calls.
Amazing. You kind of answered my next question. I'm not sure if there's anything else, but my next question was, what surprised you once you started? I think you kind of answered that, but anything else, would be amazing. But I think you answered that. And my final question, and then you can feel free to share any other additional insights that you feel comfortable with. But what advice would you give to other DMEs that are considering switching, or they've leaned on this IVR robocall for so long? Change is hard, even though it's for the better. We're all well aware of that. So any advice you think when kind of taking a leap from what you've done for so long and moving into this more digital experience, and maybe some of the fears that come along with that, but any advice would be awesome for the people on the call.
Yeah, I think just to start, I mean, touched on the data points on response rates. I think that was the key and easy surprise, right? I think beyond that, what we realized is kind of to Fred's point in his video, is the patients like it too, and this might be what leads to that increased response rate. Having the pictures on that outreach is unbelievably powerful. Most patients don't know the names of their products, but they know what they look like. So the patients, I think, are so much more willing to say, yeah, that's right, because they can see it. And maybe if without a picture, they wouldn't even bother to say, I'll call them back later or do something like that. So I think having those pictures is one of those things that surprisingly had a huge impact on how the patients go about responding. In addition to that, like just the simple, short amount of time it takes for them is another bit of feedback that we hear, that patients go, oh, it used to take too long. And before I thought it was pretty easy, but it's not until you get something better that you realize that's what actually makes it easier. And then the other side of things is not just for the patient side, but some of the surprises internally is just the speed and ease by which our staff is able to process these orders. We got used to using third-party systems. Oh, go log in there and then bring it over here and go back over there and come back over. It just makes everything so much more efficient. So not only is our team able to process, more orders, but they're also able to do it more efficiently, so that we're not wasting time in these other systems. And I think lastly, on the front of surprises, really comes down to that amount of feedback or amount of live touch points that you need with patients. So our resupply since last year to this year, Q1, year over year, went up about 22 to 23%. But the amount of phone calls we received to our resupply team actually came down. We actually made less calls and had less phone calls coming in. Now, whether we can say directly it's only Nico campaigns, I don't know, but it certainly has been a noticeable impact on the data to look at those data points. Now, in terms of suggestions and recommendations, I was very surprised actually by how many people are still doing manual calls. Making that big of a change to your business and saying, oh, we're going to drop everything we were doing and adopt some new technology, but we think it's going to be worse. Let go of the old, accept the new. Everybody wants texting. Texting is the way to go. I do it for prescriptions. CVS texts me, I respond. We're all doing it already, but we somehow close ourselves off in our own business and say, oh, I don't want to change things. But taking that adoption and running with it and accepting it and building on this new platform and just going for it, once you get past the hump of a little bit of a transition, you'll realize how valuable it's been and wish you would have done it sooner.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. I think I have to believe that's super valuable to everyone still on the call. And thank you guys all for how many people are still on here. I know you guys are incredibly busy. I'm going to go ahead and move to the last slide. Thank you so much, Mike Austin. You're a valued client of ours, and appreciate you taking some time out of your busy day.
Thank you.